Good morning, everyone. It is a frosty day here in Gothenburg, and let's get to the gym. But first, let's have a conversation, you and me. So I'm realizing that I might have to start releasing, either I have to make less videos or I have to start releasing more videos, because I'm ahead by 40 videos or something like that. So hopefully I'll start releasing a few, maybe in the weekends. Let's just start out and see where that takes us. But let's get into it. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about something that happened at work the other day. And it's about JavaScript. I'm gonna be honest. I know I talk a lot about JavaScript, and it's actually why I wanted to make this video to begin with, because I have my colleagues and we have healthy discussions about different programming languages, and we absolutely love what we do. And the other week we had this talk about basically what programming language is, probably the best for beginners to start with. I made the argument for JavaScript, and my colleagues made the argument for a few other languages, and we debated and we went back and forth. And so just the other day, my colleague came up to me and he said, I saw this guy on YouTube who he made me think of you. And so basically he showed me the video, and this guy who is a fairly, I'm not going to mention any names or anything like that, but he's a fairly famous engineer, if you will, an entrepreneur, whatever that is. And he said that the question was basically, which is your least favorite language? And he said JavaScript. And then my colleague kind of looked at me in anticipation, and I knew what he wanted to say. I knew exactly where this was coming from, because I made the argument that I think that it's a little bit not dangerous. If you can keep a healthy spirit about things, you should absolutely be able to talk about different things, hot topic questions such as religion and politics and so forth. If it's all in a healthy manner, and programming is no exception. And so I looked at my colleague and I said, so? And he kind of looked and said, well, Fredrik, you love JavaScript. You're like a JavaScript fanboy. And I said, no, that's where you're wrong. And he kind of went, well, you are. You always talking about JavaScript, and you're defending JavaScript that you were saying it was the best beginner language and so forth. And I told him, and I said to him, just hear me out. JavaScript, depending on how you look at it, is an absolutely horrible language. It's absolutely horrible. And it's amazing at the same time. It depends on your viewpoint. So I told him, the reason why I recommend it as a good beginner language is not because it's the best language out there for every single purpose. It's because I assume that a beginner is interested in learning the basics of programming in an easy way, like having a lot of tutorials and content to lean back against. You don't get that with Haskell. That's very tricky to get, for example. And I also claim that they want the most amount of bang for their buck. At least that's what I wanted when I started. I wanted to be able to do the most amount of stuff with just the first programming language I learned, because you have to start somewhere. And in the beginning, you want to be able to try a lot of different things, right? Or rather, I wanted that. And to me, that's what I said to my colleague, to me, that is JavaScript. It fills all of those criteria. Now, if you're into machine learning or system levels programming or something like that, this is an absolute horror show. You can't even do some stuff with JavaScript. JavaScript is absolutely crap at basically all things math. Any type of sophisticated mathematics you can virtually do. Machine learning in JavaScript is almost a joke. It's actually I actually claim that one of the most important contributions that we can make to JavaScript right now, because machine learning is picking up pace, and it's picking up pace quickly. If JavaScript wants to even be able to compete in that area, we need to fix the math problem. Anyway, so and then I turned to my colleague and I said, the thing is that if I'm absolutely honest, if we just considered, if we disregard how universal JavaScript is, probably my favorite programming language would be Go at this point in time. And if C++ had nicer libraries and a little bit higher level API so that I could feel more productive, then I would say C++. Because to me, and I said to him, to me, programming and programming languages is about solving problems, productively solving problems. It's not something that, I'm gonna go and be, I'm not gonna get angry for at somebody for saying that JavaScript is a horrible language, because it is, depending on your viewpoint. But I can't, and I know that my colleague loves Go as well, and I claim that today, probably, if we just consider my viewpoint, Go is probably the best programming language around. It allows you to do virtually everything you would want to do, and it can do almost any type of web stuff you want it to do. And it is a system level language, which, if you didn't know that, virtually all of the modern microservices and all that stuff runs on a system called Docker or Kubernetes, with Kubernetes for the most part, which is made in Go. And it's it's the choice language for Google and a lot of other really, really large companies. So it can do basically anything. The one thing though it doesn't do is that it doesn't run in the browser. And I know, you can tell me that, you can transpile it to JavaScript, because you can. I know you can do that. But that's not, to me, then you're just converting Go into JavaScript, so it's still JavaScript in the browser. That's my opinion. Transpilation is not the same thing as having native support for something, even if it gets very close. And so he kind of stopped, and he said, "Oh, okay. I guess all right. So you like Go?" And I said, "Yeah, I like Go." And I can also see how people would feel that Go is an absolutely horrible language, because that's the way that I think about these things. There are always pros and cons to each programming language. I get excited about certain aspects of a programming language, but I'm also trying to, at least as much as I can, stay objective, even if I don't always seem like it, because I think that the most dangerous thing you can do as a programmer is to convince yourself that there is this thing, that this programming language that you like is just this thing that you will always use, because you stop developing yourself when you start thinking only about the positives and not about the negatives. Because in my opinion, programming is about solving problems. And I don't know if this is too much to say, but to me, solving problems is not so much about the tools. It's about picking the right tool for the job. And you can do what you want with that, but that's the way I feel about it anyway. Hope you have a great day.